Straight ahead on 12 News, retiring to a new chapter. We sit down with the outgoing Brooklyn Center police chief to look back at his nearly 30 years in law enforcement. Plus, a medical marijuana issue ignites debate at Plymouth City Hall. But first, a New Hope teacher accused of sexually assaulting one of his students. 12 News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. It is a traffic nightmare for drivers headed west along I-94 towards Rogers.
So take a look at this video. Traffic was backed up for more than 7 miles on Wednesday afternoon because of pavement failure on I-94. MnDOT says a pothole several feet deep forced the closure of both westbound lanes near Highway 241 in St. Michael. MnDOT rerouted traffic onto exit ramps to get around the mess. Traffic was backed up all the way to Maple Grove. And as we went to air at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, the pavement was still being repaired. Now to our other top story, a New Hope teacher charged with sexually assaulting one of his students.
The teacher was employed by District 287, which helps students with unique learning needs. Reporter Sonia Goins has more on the investigation.
Police say last Wednesday, 47-year-old David Henderson brought the 16-year-old girl to his house here in Rogers. According to the criminal complaint, Henderson, the girl, and Henderson's 2 children watched movies. Later that night, Henderson allegedly raped the girl while his kids were asleep in another room.
Anytime a person in authority victimizes someone that they're responsible for, obviously that's an issue of not only a crime occurring, but a breach of trust.
According to the criminal complaint, the victim said no, and Henderson replied, "You can't really do anything about it. You owe me."
After the assault, the victim told her mother what had occurred. A mother took the child to a local hospital.
The victim says Henderson was kind of like a father figure to her.
He had offered the mother some financial assistance. He had taken the child with his family to Wisconsin Dells and other locations.
Henderson admitted the victim slept at his house, stating it was a dumb decision to have a student sleep at his home, but he denies having sex with the girl. Now, Henderson is a teacher here at the North Education Center in New Hope. He's been a teacher in the district for over 20 years. The school superintendent says she's troubled by the allegations, and her heart goes out to everyone involved. Meanwhile, police are also checking to see if there are any other victims.
If there are other victims or are other people involved, certainly we would ask them to come forward to let us know.
In New Hope, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
Henderson has been charged with 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct. He is out on bail. Henderson is also on leave from his job at the school.
A woman has died after being struck by a car in Brooklyn Center. Police say the 21-year-old woman was crossing Brooklyn Boulevard in a non-crosswalk area when she was hit just before 10 p.m. Monday evening. The woman was taken to North Memorial Medical Center where she later died. Her identity has not yet been released. Cities across Minnesota are grappling with the medical marijuana issue, and one of them is Plymouth.
Tuesday night, the City Council adopted a ban on medical cannabis facilities, at least for the next year. Eric Nelson has more.
I think it's wrong to have something that's legal, but then for cities to pass laws and bans.
It is a polarizing topic that fosters emotion and passion.
This is not a land use ordinance. That's insulting to my intelligence because it's an outright ban throughout Plymouth.
There are 2 sides to the coin on this one.
On Tuesday night, the Plymouth City Council weighed in on whether to allow a future medical marijuana facility in the city. So far, no proposals have come in. Plymouth is treating this as a land use issue, not a moral or medical debate.
Absolutely, you have to separate, emotions from virtually every land use issue or zoning issue we get involved with. Certain people are passionate about one side or the other side.
In the next 12 months, Plymouth will look at other cities where medical marijuana is legal. In a sense, those communities are trial balloons.
How they did it, why they looked at it, the way they looked at it. So it will allow us to come back with ideas and comments and thoughts to the council.
We will have the benefit of knowing how has it been going? What kind of reactions have there been? What has it been like in the communities around those manufacturing facilities?
Plymouth has been very friendly to medical companies in the past. We will see if medical marijuana gets the same treatment in the future. Now, thanks to a sunset provision, the Plymouth City Council will revisit this topic next year. As of right now, the cannabis debate is a moot point. Minnesota state law allows just one city in each congressional district to have a distribution facility. In District 3, where Plymouth is located, that city is Eden Prairie. Mike?
All right, interesting. Thanks, Eric. The Brooklyn Park mayor is supporting a plan he says could help create a destination park. Brooklyn Park City Council this week approved purchasing more than 2 acres of property along the Mississippi River. The property contains a house that the city would eventually turn around and then resell. The city would keep most of the land that it could use to add on to the 40-acre River Park, which is next door. Council members who support the plan believe it could be used to enhance recreational water access.
I've been on the council 6 years, and I think this is the first type of opportunity like this that's really come up in 6 years. I know we've bought other land, and all land is unique, but river frontage is more unique.
Well, council members did have some concern about the cost that the city would pay for the property, and the property was appraised for $550,000.
Brooklyn Center's police chief is preparing for a new chapter in his life.
Kevin Benner is retiring after more than 26 years on the force, and in that time he says he's seen a lot of things good and bad, but never lost his positive outlook.
And I was taught this in the college, that you're going to become jaded. You're going to see the world from the wrong side. You know, you're going to deal with people that are constantly breaking the laws.
Kevin Benner says he never did become jaded, and police work helped him find a lot of good in people.
And that's the majority of our society, is wonderful people that care about each other.
This newspaper picture shows his first day on the job in 1989, a young cop who wanted to help.
When you have people in chaos, and you can come in and make it not chaos, and you can help people, and then how that feels that you've helped somebody at a time they need help most.
10 years later, Benner was promoted to sergeant, and in 2010 became police chief.
Honestly, it's my honor to present you with the Sheriff's Distinguished Service Award.
In May came a surprise honor for Benner. It recognized him for the city's progress in reducing violent crime. Benner says it's because Brooklyn Center took a different approach.
If someone commits a murder, and we solve it, and we'd ask, why did they do it? Rather than saying, how did they get to this, and what could we have done different?
Much of the effort focused on youth with outreach programs and alternatives to juvenile detention.
You're sending them into a correction facility where there are people that are dangerous, and when they say, well, I want to teach them a lesson, you just might want to read the syllabus. It's going to tell you. They're going to teach you how to be a gang member. They're going to teach you how to steal cars.
Benner admits it was a hard sell at first, but now he says there's proof it's working. The next step, he says, should be more detention alternatives for adults, such as some domestic violence cases.
These aren't bad people, but they're in very bad relationships, and they don't know how to deal with things, especially relationships.
As for the future, he'll become a stay-at-home dad, spending time with his 1- and 3-year-old children.
I've been blessed. I've been blessed in my career in the city that's given me the opportunity to work and be a part of.
Chief Benner's last day on the job is on Saturday, and Alex, he is excited with the time coming up that he can spend with kids and looking forward to the next phase of his working life. He says stay tuned on that.
I think he'll have his hands full. Yeah. New kind of work.
It'll be fun.
Well, coming up, new technology that will soon be on everybody's credit card, how it's supposed to fight fraud.
Then later, meet a Plymouth woman who makes the calls on the volleyball court in our official business series.
But first, bright sun and a refreshing breeze on Thursday. If you've received new credit cards in the mail recently, there is a reason why.
And the new cards are embedded with new technology in an effort to stay a step ahead of hackers. 12 News reporter Shannon Slatton explains what you need to know about the card that might already be in your wallet.
You might have gotten a new credit card in the mail and not have even noticed it's different. Now it's a global standard for cards to have a chip embedded on the front, which helps reduce the cost of fraud.
Did they send you instructions?
At Thai Cuisine in Brooklyn Park, owner Famone Song switched over to a machine that reads chip cards.
We close and we need to send the money to the bank.
To match it?
Yeah.
Sean Smith helped install the new technology and came here to tell us what's different about it.
Instead of reading a magnetic stripe, it's reading a one-time code in that chip that includes all of your information, but it encrypts or tokenizes a number in there that can only be used one time. I'm gonna go ahead and hit sale.
That makes it harder to counterfeit and makes transactions more secure.
What it's trying to do is prohibit hackers from creating or cloning cards from just your magnetic stripe or number.
Consumers will have a bit of adjusting to do, starting with what the card is called. The universal name is EMV, which stands for Europay, MasterCard, and Visa. They can also be called smart cards, chip cards, a chip-enabled smart card, or a chip-in-choice card. Then, instead of swiping, consumers will have to push the card in the machine and leave it there until the transaction is complete.
Processing chip.
Expect many businesses to start running cards as chip cards within the next few months.
On October 1st, if a chip card is presented to them and they don't use the chip technology, and that's a fraudulent transaction from a card that's been rewritten or duplicated, the onus or the liability is on the merchant rather than the issuer.
It's really easy.
So far, so good at Thai Cuisine, where they've started running some customer cards as chip cards, knowing that's the way technology is moving.
It is coming for everybody.
In Brooklyn Park, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
And depending on the type of card you have, you may have to enter a PIN or sign for verification after you run a transaction. By the way, the U.S. is the last major country still using the old magnetic stripe system. Coming up, a new Robbinsdale business that's weaving into different territory.
But first, the Wayzata American Legion baseball team gets set for the state tournament. We have a preview next in sports.
It's been a good summer for Legion baseball, and maybe the best part for a few local teams is that it's not over yet, right?
Yeah, 3 of them will start play on Friday, hoping for a great weekend to continue. 3 of our local Legion baseball teams will play in the State American Legion baseball tournament beginning Friday. Jason Willow caught up with Sub-State 4 champion Wayzata for this preview.
The summer started rough for Wayzata, but in early July, the boys turned a corner.
First 20 games or so, I didn't feel like we were playing up to our talent level, and then something right around the Gopher Classic, we kind of just switched gears, and we went from, one guy hitting the ball well and 8 guys struggling to the whole lineup hitting the ball well, and we kind of carried that for 2 weeks.
We won the pool, and it's our first time our coach has ever won his pool in the Gopher Classic, and we made it to the semifinals, which was pretty good for us, actually.
Wayzata carried that momentum into the sub-state playoffs. On the final day of the tournament, Wayzata lost to Excelsior, but came back to win the if game and advanced to state.
I know we had deep pitching, and the 9-inning game certainly helped us more than anyone else. I mean, everyone on our team can basically throw innings, and we started actually hitting the ball better, and we hit good pitching pretty darn well. So I thought we had a good chance as anyone. Just to beat Excelsior twice was a fun experience to get to go back to state.
Wayzata is a young team made up primarily of juniors to be, but they do have 2 college players in Connor Olson and Connor Tregstad. Both are key to Wayzata's success.
Our 2 college guys are our 3 and 4 hitter, and they're, unquestionably our best 2 hitters. And it just, throughout the course of the summer, I think some of the younger guys have learned just kind of how they approach their at-bats and, not swinging at 2-0 pitches in the dirt and waiting for your pitch, but also being aggressive and looking for it at any time too. So, and just you get a year of college under your belt, you got a little more baseball in your life, and you understand that some of this stuff, you can't go through the motions. It's just got to be automatic.
Wayzata doesn't know much about most of the teams in the state tournament field, but that's part of the fun. Minnesota's still thriving Legion baseball system is unique, and playing for a state title still means a lot. Jason Malillo, 12 Sports.
Wayzata opens the tournament Friday at 1 o'clock against host Chanhassen. Chan won the state Class 3A high school championship last month. Volleyball is a sport with a lot of action in a fairly small space. Officials need to have good attention to detail to get the calls right on the court. Jay Wilcox profiles a volleyball veteran in this week's Official Business.
This week on Official Business, we meet a volleyball official who has a full slate of matches, and she's loving it. Shelly Woelfel, who recently bought a home in Plymouth, started officiating volleyball in 1998 after playing in high school and on a club team in college. A friend got her started, and she added levels quickly.
One of my friends, they were officiating outdoor USA ball, so I started officiating outdoor, and then they also were officiating high school. So then I'm like, okay, I can do that. That'd be fun. And then once I got into high school and working with a lot of other officials, they're like, you should do college. And I'm like, okay. And then you should do USA. Okay. Control her. I got it.
Woelfel, seen here working at the National Senior Games earlier this month, recently got her National Junior certification, a big step for officials. With the variety of skill levels she sees, there is some adjustment in how matches are called.
We set our bar, you know, how tight are we going to call things, how loose are we going to call things, and, you know, for the lower levels, we definitely give them the benefit of the doubt, and we'll let a lot more go.
Dealing with coaches who don't like your calls can be tough for any official, but Shelly says it's not been a huge problem for her.
If they're going to be abusive or verbally, you know, or even, you know, physically demonstrative, that's not okay with me. It sends a really bad message to the girls. So that's immediately where I draw my line. But I'll let them have their say. And if they, you know, we'll have the conversation if they want to keep on it and a couple points later and they're still trying to argue with you or still trying to talk with you, that's when you just draw the line and you say, no, we're done. Thank you. You bet. Good luck.
She expects to continue officiating for a while, but Woelfel notes that a lot of her colleagues are retiring.
A lot of our high school officials are getting up there in age, and the State High School League is actually looking at officials everywhere and how to recruit more younger officials and get them in the pipeline of officials and get them going.
For Official Business, Jay Wilcox, 12 Sports.
Shelly says the toughest transition in jumping between levels is the rules around net play, which are very different in USA and high school volleyball. It's almost like you need to know two different games.
Right, sounds like it, a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
We'll be right back in just a moment. And finally, a new business moving into Robbinsdale aims to combine art with action.
Art teacher Kelly Sadler is opening Palette and Purl in downtown Robbinsdale, where she will sell fiber arts and also teach classes on knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, and felting. For 2 years, Sadler has operated the business out of her home, and she's donated 50% of the profits to humanitarian causes. Now with her own store on West Broadway, she wants to teach others to create so that now they can give back to those in need.
I just hope that this becomes the place where people love to come and love to connect and love to share outward. That it's the conduit for people to really connect with their community and create the change that they really want to see.
And the store opens next Thursday. That is August 6th. And that's all the news for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
And thank you again. And Community Corner is coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow.